right. Welcome everybody. This is the All About podcast. Uh kind of morning show, kind of daily show. Um it's Friday, right? Friday. I don't know about everyone, but it has been an exceptionally long week and I am so happy that it's finally gotten to the point where or we're finally at the end of this week. I think for everyone, it's just sort of been just an unbelievably long week, and I am again, I'm just thankful that we're finally at the end of it. So, how did the week start? The week started. I can't get my coffee open. There it is. Um, the week started with Monday. The the stepping, I guess the stepping aside of President Biden peacefully, with no sort of indication that he was going to try and uh, retain power through force or sending his stormtroopers to the Capitol building. He didn't uh, tell or didn't try to force uh, Vice President Harris to um, not go through with the proceedings. Not that she could anyway, because during Biden's election or during Biden's administration, there was a law passed that basically made it very definite that the vice president's role in the electoral count is ceremonial. So, it couldn't have happened. And unfortunately for JD Vance, at the end of this current term, the likelihood is that he won't have any of that power to be able to do that either. So Congress enacted a law, Biden signed it. So then we had the inauguration, the switching of power, the changing of the guard, and it morning just Lewis 74, welcome. It was the peaceful transfer of power that has happened, you know, some 60 times before. Uh, I guess that's not really right. We've only had 47 presidents, so 47 times before, 46 times before. See my math. It's Friday, and I need a little bit of grace on this. User 2594 says China just issued 100% banned and precious metals to the U.S. Thoughts, please, respectfully. So I haven't read that yet. I didn't see that. 100. I assume that was 100% ban on all precious materials coming to the United States. Let me research that some, and I'll take a look and maybe be able to get you some sort of a thought on it. Donald Trump's gonna be heading to North Carolina today. He is going to survey the hurricane damage from Hurricane Helene's flooding. He said he's got questions about the disaster relief, and so he's going to take center stage on that. He said he will then, well, the administration has said that his next plan is then to travel to California today as well, where the wildfires are still going on in California. Um, this will be Trump's first departure from the. I'm sure. Jay Child says, "I'm sure ICE will be with him. Be prepared." This will be his first trip away from Washington D.C. since taking office, which I'm going to be completely honest with you. Uh, Good on him because I am surprised. I don't remember how long it was before he made a trip to Florida to go play golf in his first term. Um, but for all of the things that Donald Trump said about President Obama playing golf while being president, and then for Donald Trump to basically pull off one of the presidencies in modern history to have the most golf rounds, and in his I want to say in his his in his first term. Um, I don't know how many days in total a president's term is from January 20th to January 20th, 4 years later. Um, but Donald Trump had an extraordinary number of uh, golf trips, like, and TTD 64. I'm gonna assume that's a T-shirt size or something. Anyway, he told me to stop lying, and it's not a lie. You can look it up. It's completely verifiable. Um, it Donald Trump took a lot of golf trips to Florida, to Bedminster, New Jersey. I think at one point he did do do Biden sleeping on the beach on vacation. I mean, presidents get vacations. Teddy Roosevelt was very well known for basically disappearing, and no one know where he was, and said he was out camping or hunting or whatever, and at that time no one knew where he was, like absolutely no one knew where he was. Teddy Roosevelt, the guy responsible for basically the national park system, you know and I appreciate the fact that he did it, because now we have the national park system. Now we might not have the national park system for much longer if some people in the administration have their way. But yeah, so Donald Trump's going to be heading to North Carolina today, and then over to California to take a look at the natural disaster, the wildfires, the hurricane relief in um, North Carolina, wildfires in California. So I do. I want to bring up this. Let's see. Jose says Biden administration have class. That's why we see a peaceful transfer of power. Trump does not. No, Trump got his feelings hurt when he lost the election. Like any bully that gets you know stood up to. That was what Trump did, and he sank away. Um, I need to get just men to sponsor me. Voyeur Ghost, you're probably not wrong. I don't, and the worst part is at my age, uh, this is not the result. I don't think of age. I don't think I hit the age that this is supposed to go gray this quickly. Um, so maybe I drool in my sleep. Maybe that's what the issue is. So yeah, so let's take a look at some of the things in the news. Executive action Trump's has taken so far. So this is there's I guess some of the news reports, because we're now Friday, and I think the thought process is um that maybe these executive actions are starting to slow down. Um it there has been apparently there is video evidence that Donald Trump doesn't know a lot of what it is that he's signing, that these executive actions are being written by people in his administration, and that they are being basically passed to him, and that he's not aware. But there is a near direct correlation with the Project 2025 and the executive actions that are being signed. Now, a lot of the executive orders that he is signing are um, they carry no weight. They are attempting to undo a law. And an executive action can't undo a law, because a law was passed by Congress, and then Congress sent that bill to the president, whether it was Biden or Trump before, or Obama, or Bush, or Clinton, whatever. An executive action or executive order can't undo a law, and that's just a fact, and that's what some of these are trying to actually do. um, so because they're trying to undo laws, they carry no weight. There's nothing. I know that a federal judge that was appointed by Ronald Reagan back in the 80s did put an injunction on the birther executive action, which was one that was basically trying to undo the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment. You know, if enshrined by the Constitution. Uh, Thanks, Clutch. I appreciate the sentiment. Look, the 14th Amendment basically states if you're born in the United States, and I'm paraphrasing, so for any corrections out there, but the 14th Amendment basically states that if you are born in the United States or on land that is considered a territory of the United States, including embassies across the world, you are a citizen of the United States, regardless of how terribly racist your president uncle, or in some cases I see daddy, which again, still weird. A lot of men out there calling President Trump daddy. Um, I'd stop that. It because it doesn't affect most of us. Um, but it looks weird on you. So, just d- a thought. If it's something that really gets your panties in a twist and you love it, do it. Keep doing it. Just enjoy it. But it's weird. It comes across really weird. State senator in Mississippi has sorry, I got distracted again. State senator in Mississippi has um, presented a bill, and I did a video on this yesterday because I think this is one of the most perfect things I've ever seen. I think his name's Bradford Blackman. That's it. Uh, so, I'm going to read this verbatim. So, this is from WLBT in Jackson, Mississippi. State Senator Mississippi in Mississippi has filed a bill entitled "The Contraception Begins at Erection Act." So, as written by Senator Bradford Blackman, the bill would make it unlawful for a person to discharge genetic material without the intent to fertilize an embryo. There are also fines involved: a $1,000 fine, a $5,000 fine, a $10,000 fine for subsequent discharges. In a statement to the WLBT News, Blackman wrote, "All across the country, especially here in Mississippi, the vast majority of bills related to contraception and/or abortion focuses on the woman's role when men are 50% of the equation." And him explaining it, it's fine. But if he hadn't done interviews and explained it, just so perfect. Because I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but you can't make women the only ones responsible for something that doesn't they can't get pregnant on their own. I mean, yeah, science, we have, that a woman could go to a clinic and get pregnant, but through the act, a woman can't do it on her own. And for a lot of people, I feel like maybe that was a health class that you missed. I know that health classes taught it. Like I went I went to school for 12, I went to high school, elementary school, high school. That was K through 12. That's 13 years. And I know in at least two of those, 8th and ninth grade, we had health classes where things like this were explained. But for some reason, we have adults out there that think that the only responsible party is the woman. And that is, regardless of what side of the political line you fall, there's no way that you can look at this situation and be like, nope, the woman's the fault. The woman's the one's at fault. Thor says I'm a typical liberal. I don't know if that's a compliment. I don't know if but this I would like to think that I'm an atypical liberal. Thank you very much. Um, just because I will laugh at liberals too. I absolutely have no issue. And in this case, this gentleman in Mississippi who's a state senator, um, Senator Bradford Blackman, eh, I know he's trolling the Republicans and all these. anti women's health uh, politicians and things like that. Because I at this point I think we've moved. We need to move on from calling it abortion. We need to we need to call it's women's health, because the a lot of the bills and such aren't just targeting women in their abortions. They're targeting women in other reproductive acts, and available uh, medications and procedures and things like that. But it's also targeting women's health just in general, mammograms, things like that. These are basically take a list of all of the things that make old white men uncomfortable about women, and let's just say those are the things they want to get rid of. Those are the things that they don't want there to be any sort of social uh, any sort of social net for. Uh, you know, you can say I'm wrong, and that's fine, but that's what we're looking at. It's a control over women, and you know, I'm sure that anyone that disagrees with me could potentially turn to their wife or partner right now and just be like, "Don't listen to that guy. Yeah, you just controlled her. Good job. You you did exactly what I said you were doing." So yeah. So no, that was a really good one. I posted a uh, I posted a video on my YouTube, on my personal YouTube, on my podcast YouTube. No, I didn't do it on the podcast. I didn't do it here. But I did it on my YouTube, my TikTok, and other social media of um, the and I know this is going to draw a lot of comments from people, but I got to be honest. I was uncomfortable with Elon Musk um, doing the Nazi salute. It's disturbing, and you can say that it's not what it was. You can try to convince me that uh, that perhaps he was just overly excited. I've seen the video from the woman that said that she worked with him. She doesn't work for him now. Uh, Thor has now asked, "What about Hillary doing one?" Yeah, I'd be uncomfortable if Hillary did it too. So if you have that, if you have a video of her doing a Nazi salute twice at a rally in front of other enthusiast enthusiastic guests, then sure, please send it to me. You can definitely send that to me. Or Kamala. Yeah, absolutely. If you have videos of them doing it, I will say the same thing. I'm uncomfortable with it. You, Austria, Germany, you cannot make that hand movement. You cannot do it. It is finable. You could be arrested for it. In the place where that particular motion was only used out of respect for the guy that was ordering the death of millions. So, just hang that on your hat. So yes, if you have video or you have articles, like legitimate articles, not not Alex Jones or something. Alex Jones is not a legitimate news source, and I'm sorry for those of you that rub yourself to it, but it's not. Alex Jones is has been sued multiple times over the things he said, and he's had to settle and pay, which is an indication that he admits he's not a legitimate news source. I have met Alex Jones. Alex Jones on television or on his page or his YouTube or whatever. I guess it doesn't exist anymore, but on his website, that is not the Alex Jones that I knew or that I had met, because uh, I'll just say he has different opinions than the guy that he portrays on television or on his webpage. Oh, so anyway, um, I basically said, look, if you, as someone who is such a fan of Elon Musk, think that it's perfectly okay for him to make those hand movements out of in a gesture of whatever it is that you want to call it, then I need for you all to replicate what it is that he did. So let's say you go into the bank and you are going in there to make a deposit. Um, let's just say that maybe you're going in for a loan, and rather than shaking someone's hand, go ahead and give them a salute. Just do that. Have somebody film it. Like so I issued a challenge. It's called the Be Like Musk challenge. It used to be Like Mike, now Be Like Musk challenge. So I want to see people start doing this um, out of, I guess, acceptance that they think that it's okay to do that, despite the fact that in some countries it's illegal. Um, Voyeur Ghost says, do you think a president should be allowed to issue pardons to family members? Should that be changed? Well, it's not something that's going to be changed. Um, Pardoning is one of the things that the president of the United States gets to do. Hold on. Before I get to that, I'll just say I'm not encouraging them to be Nazis. I'm just encouraging them to do something that they think is perfectly acceptable. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to, instead of shaking somebody's hand, they're not going to shake their, because they know it's wrong. They're just trying to own the libs, and turnabout's fair play. Um, no, I'll just say I don't like that President Biden pardoned his family members. I don't like it. Pardoning is an admission of guilt. So um, President Biden pardoning his family members, even though what they state that they didn't do anything, they're just being targeted by the Trump administration, so they were preemptively pardoned for anything that they did during some time period, and I don't know the details, but no, I think it's wrong. I don't like that he did it. Uh, I don't like that he felt that he had to do it. So it's the same. It's two sides of the same coin. Like, we have a president currently who has uh, stated over and over, multiple times, that he intends to go after the people that went after him. And because of that, President Biden felt like there was a need to pardon his family. And um, so I don't like that President Biden did it. And I don't like the fact that Donald Trump makes a point of saying that he's going to go after people, that he's going to use the Justice Department to do these things. Preemptive pardons for Fauci, General Milley, J6 committee with no charges. I'm telling you, I don't think it's okay. None of those people committed crimes that you know is is Trump going to order his Justice Department to investigate? I think that is likely. I think there is a likelihood that he is going to still, regardless of whether or not these people were issued pardons. I don't think Donald Trump knows how pardons work. Mostly at his own admission, he released several people from prison that were January 6 insurrectionists, whether they were violent, nonviolent, they damaged property, whatever. But he was asked a question about a specific person that was released and had, I guess, whatever it was that they had done was pretty serious crime. Like, I think he stabbed a police officer in the neck with a taser. Um, and when asked uh, uh, why he was released, Donald Trump said, "Well, we're going to look into all of them." So he pardoned them, and then he made it sound as though the intent was to then look at each individual one and maybe rearrest them. That's not how pardons work. That's not how the justice system works. Once they're pardoned, that's it. Although I did see that there was one that had been released. He was a January 6th, or he had been released. I'm not sure what it was he did on January 6th, but he had been released, and then 3 days later, He was from Florida, so kudos to you guys in Florida. But he 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 got rearrested for federal gun charges in Florida. So so that's one down out of 16 some odd hundred. Um, let's see. Gerald, no, I can't. I'm not gonna pronounce your name. Gerard or Ron. They can't get pardoned if let's see. Sorry, that scrolls past. They can't get pardoned if they wasn't charged. The BS Joe Biden signed won't stand. I, I'm I'm sorry you missed that day in civics class. That's literally how a pardon works. Now, again, does it matter that they got pardoned? I don't think Donald Trump knows how pardons work. So the likelihood is that he's still going to send his Justice Department after them, but they're going to have to find if they find anything, they're going to have to find something from outside of the time period that the pardons were set for. But again, I don't know what, you know, in my head, no, you shouldn't be allowed to pardon anyone with with no charges, because again, a pardon is an admission of guilt, and as far as I'm concerned now, Joe Biden has basically acknowledged that his family members needed something to be pardoned from, and not just out of protection. This was I don't agree with everything that Joe Biden does. I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump does. I don't these people are politicians. So right off the bat, these are the scummiest people on the planet. I do think that Joe Biden did some things during his administration. They worked with Congress to get done. All of Congress, Republicans and Democrats. Um, I think the CHIPS Act, bringing chip manufacturing back to the United States, has already benefited the United States because new cars are being built in the United States now with parts that are being built in the United States. As far as the electronics and the chips and things like that, price of new cars has dropped, and that's good for some people. I don't buy new cars, but if it doesn't, if my car isn't, uh, if my car doesn't have, if my car had a computer system that ran the whole thing, that would scare the life out of me. I don't want a vehicle that has multiple computers that can basically say no. There's it found some trigger and doesn't want to run now. So my car is 20 years old, has a computer with sensors that tells me when something's wrong, and then I decide whether or not I want to keep going. Um, but look, these there is the likelihood that I don't know, the likelihood the just the state of everything. I don't see the point in wrapping yourselves around these candidates as though they're some sort of king god. None of them are worth that. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They may care about the country as a whole, but why give them all your loyalty? Like ultimately, and I guess that's what I'm going to end on is this blind loyalty to uh, someone that would likely turn their nose away from you or turn their nose to you if the opportunity was given. Um, what was Fauci pardoned for exactly? I don't know. It was a blanket pardon. So again, and and while I know there's a segment of the population that is incapable of doing it, but try to put yourself in the position of someone like an Anthony Fauci, who has worked for the federal government for many decades as a man of medicine who has tried to always be a part of the solution for that's James Bond. James Bond had a license to kill. But Anthony Fauci, I get that the people on the right want to demonize him because I, I'm not entirely certain why they want to demonize him, but he worked with Donald Trump's administration during the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And whether, so first acknowledge that that COVID was a pandemic, and that it killed millions. And then once you acknowledge that, um, then you move on to Anthony Fauci was a government employee, specifically with the National Health Organization, or National Health Institution. That basically he worked. This was his field of study, and 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 because he suggested that people wear masks, and then when a vaccine was made available, he suggested that people take the vaccine. He didn't enforce any of these vaccine laws. He didn't have that power. He didn't make rules. So this hate that some of you have for Anthony Fauci is just, it's misplaced. And I think a lot of you all are doing it because you have this undying love for a man that doesn't give two shits about you. Because ask yourself, where where's the price of eggs right now? Wasn't that one of his big promises? The price of eggs was going to come down within 24 hours after he was elected, that he was going to end the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of his election. And then, it got punted down the field to after his inauguration. He tried to take credit for um, Israel and Hamas coming up with a ceasefire agreement, which is ultra weird because even Donald Trump, from Mar-a-Lago, they can't produce any phone logs of him having any conversations with Netanyahu in that time period to convince him about the ceasefire. So there's no evidence to it. So he's taking credit for something that there's no evidence that he was involved. Netanyahu hasn't said anything about his involvement. So, like, where does this undying belief look? If Biden stood on the top of a mountain, eh, okay, let's call it a social media platform. If Biden did that, if Biden claimed that he solved all of these problems, I'd still tell you that it's not likely. And I'm telling you now, Donald Trump did not likely do the things he has said. Black Essentials. I'll just read this one real quick. President Trump has done more in a week and a half than Biden. Even Sadia in is invested 3 billion on. Oh, I'm assuming you're trying to say Saudi Arabia, maybe. And President Trump has done more in a week and a half than Biden even. Okay, I tried. You failed, or I failed. You know what? I failed. You were perfect. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. For those of you that followed, thank you very much. I appreciate it. The All About Nothing podcast. We release episodes every Monday morning. We had a great conversation that is going to release on this coming Monday with Donald Brock Jr., who is the coordinator for the Coastal Comic Con. It is the Comic Con that's coming up on March 1st and 2nd, Wilmington, North Carolina, at the Wilmington Convention Center. There are going to be plenty of guests, speakers. They're going to do some panels with the celebrities that are going to be there, as well. Lots of vendors. So you have artists, you have a bunch of comic books, and it's a really great time. This is the second time it's been in Wilmington. So I'm excited. The podcast is going to be there. We're going to get to talk to some of the celebrities. A few of the big ones um, are some of the voice actors from the X-Men '97 series. That's going to be really cool. But anyway, so we had a whole discussion about that with Donald Brock Jr. He's a council member from the town of Blythewood, South Carolina. So we're going to we talk a little bit about that and Blythewood and Scout International Truck, the plant that's being constructed right now to manufacture, or put together the new Scout EVs that are going to be rolling off the line once that factory is completed. So really good conversation. Please subscribe to the show. You can go to theallaboutnothing.com. You'll find links to all of our social media platforms as well as podcast platforms, or you can just search for us on theallaboutnothing.com. Also, if you live in the Columbia, South Carolina area and you're a fan of the show, we appreciate you following as well. But Everplay Sports and Social currently is signing up for their spring leagues. That includes bowling and let's see, bowling, softball, kickball, dodgeball, soccer. I think there's pickleball, just a ton of stuff. Go check out everplaysocial.com, where you'll find all the details on that, and go ahead and register. The bowling league this spring season is going to be 10 weeks long, which is pretty cool. So check that out, everplaysocial.com. And if you could do me a favor, if you haven't done it before, check out zjzdesign.com. ZJZdesign.com is a T Public shop that has T-shirts that are created by my mother, and she's got some St. Patrick's Day shirts that are coming out, uh, I get designs that are coming out. So check that out again, zjzdesigns.com. So thank you very much. All right, everybody, you all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself.